Hello, YouTube friends. Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today I want to talk with you about three key words or concepts that are vital in fish keeping that I wish somebody had actually taken the time to talk with me about when I first got started keeping fish. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, the bell and notification bell, and give it a thumbs up if you like. And I thank you for that. And it's how YouTube becomes aware of a channel and recommend and by becoming aware, then recommends it to other fish keepers like you and me, and it helps with channel growth. I appreciate that. Let's get into this topic of three concepts. And the first one, and you can probably guess what it is, but the first one is research. And when we first get into fish keeping, many of us see a pretty tank and we want to have a pretty tank. So we go out and we buy a tank and what seems like suitable filtration. Maybe we talk a little bit to the person at the aquarium store or at the big box store. Here we are at home. We quickly proceed to kill off a bunch of fish. So, so this is the learning curve that unfortunately a lot of fish keepers go through. The ones who make it through that survive that step and don't leave the hobby because they sort of hit that wall and feel it's not for them. The ones that survive that, then they do research. But if they had done the research ahead of time, they could have skipped that step. And it's a very hard knocks lesson. What do you need to research about? I've made a partial list of some of the things we can research about. You like some fish? How big do they get? What are the tank mates? What are the nutrition requirements? What are the water requirements of that fish? How are you going to bring about those water requirements? How much space do they need? How big of a tank do they need? How big do they get? Right? You buy a 29-gallon tank and put 3 Oscars in it. They're going to be really cute for about a few months. And then you're going to have a problem. So, water requirements, water chemistry. What does pH mean? What does KH mean? Hard water, dissolved solids, soft water. What do these things mean? And how do they pertain to the kind of fish you want to have? Right? What are the nutrition requirements? What kind of protein can you feed that fish? How much protein does it need? Does it need vegetables? How are you going to provide vegetables to that fish or green? Oxygen, water movement, water turnover, filtration media, types of filtration. What's a sump? What's a canister? What's a hang-on back filter? What's a sponge filter? All these different factors. Now, I'm not saying you need to become expert in all of this before you jump into a first tank, but there has to be some type of an understanding of how these things work together to create an environment that will be something the fish can survive in. How about treating water? When you go right from the tap versus going from buckets, how do you treat that water? Temperature matching. Is it important? Should you skip it? These are all points that, unfortunately, what happens, and certainly happened with me, is you learn the hard way. You kill off some fish, then you go study. You kill off some fish with a certain disease that you knew nothing about, you didn't have the meds on hand, then you go learn about it. But if you could do a little bit of learning on the front end, you can save yourself a lot of headache, whether it's about water conditions, tank mates, tank size, water movement, disease, nutrition requirements, whatever it might be. Do some research. A lot of places available today that you can access right from your phone. So research. I can't stress that enough. Step number 2 is do the work. You've got to do the work. And you could consider doing research as part of doing the work, but you've got to do the work. You've got to service the tank. You have to service the filters. You have to do what's needed to keep that ecosystem as pristine as possible. So doing the work, that's vital. And if you get into a situation where your schedule prevents you from doing the work, let's say someone at home requires extra care, there's a baby now, you have a job that requires you to be away and travel, you've hurt your back, you can't do the work, you've had a change economically, you can't afford what you need to have to take care of the tanks. These are all factors, they're all real, they happen to people. If it happens to you, it might be time to actually phase out of the hobby and consider phasing perhaps back in later when conditions change. So doing the work, number 2. Number 3, and boy oh boy is this one vital, and it comes up as perhaps the most vital in the comments under my videos, and that's patience. You gotta have patience. The biggest mistakes I've made have been when I wasn't patient. I did something in a hurry. I took a fish and added him right to the tank. I didn't quarantine. I didn't treat the fish long enough for a disease. I wanted to have everything immediately, as opposed to developing the tank, letting the tank mature, letting some beneficial bacteria develop. I've introduced diseases into the tank that cost me 50% of my stock. I've gone too fast, too soon. So patience, I can't stress patience enough. Patience can save you a lot of money, whether it's quarantine, using a quarantine method of at least 30 days, buying fish when they're small, growing them out. Patience is a way to really save money in this hobby. People want to have a dream tank. They want to have it all set up with all the dream fish in it immediately. That's very expensive and doesn't work. So patience. So those are the three. If I had to add any one, I'd probably add moderation or being a little bit conservative. And by that, what I mean is, let's say you do a major maintenance on a tank. In my case, I pace out maintenance. I have two hang-on back filters on this tank. I will not service both of them at the same time. I'll service one, and I'll service the other one several weeks later. And when I service them, I don't do a water change. I'll do a water change when I'm not doing any other kinds of service. And when I service the filters, I add water conditioner, just in case there's a little spike in ammonia. I use moderation. I'm a little bit conservative in what I do, and I take my time. And I think so. If I had to add something to research, work, and patience, it would be perhaps moderation or being a little bit conservative in making any drastic steps. Okay, so those are my 3 key concepts or words. Do you have some? Add them below, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. What would you tell a new fish keeper to really watch? What would be the key word that you'd share with them and tell them to really pay attention to? And we can talk about this and other topics on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. That's every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central. And we get a great group of fish keepers, and they get in a conversation with each other, and I answer your questions as well on a live format, which is a lot of fun. Okay, and thank you everybody for your support. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button. That's appreciated. And also, if you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, consider becoming a Patreon. Just go ahead and hit that Patreon logo on the banner of the channel, and it'll take you to my Patreon page. Consider becoming a patron. Membership is $3 on up per month. It's a great way to support the channel. All right, that's it for me. Thank you so much for your help and support, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.